Hi, I'm Cory Weatherton, Director of Product Development here at Entegra Coach. And folks, today we're going to look at the 2026 Entegra Coach Esteem. My goal today is to talk about some of the new things for model year 2026, also to maybe catch you up with some of the later things we did in model year 2025, and also just tell you what makes the Entegra Coach Esteem the Entegra Coach Esteem. Now, before we get going, I just want to point out this is the 29V Entegra Coach Esteem. So when we're on the inside, I know you may fall in love with the floor plan. What is that floor plan? The 29V Entegra Coach Esteem. So first and foremost, let's talk about this chassis. This is the Ford E450 chassis. The Ford E450 chassis is really standard spec from Ford. Ford has been giving us this chassis for decades now. Not giving, we're buying, same chassis. However, you remember a couple years ago, they went from the V10 to the V8, and really we're at a place now in the life cycle of this V8, and we have been for a couple years, that it is a great chassis. It's a great engine, great drivetrain. It is a little bit more fuel efficient than the V10. A little bit is the key word, because if you were to pin me down now, what are you going to get with this? I would say, it really depends on your driving conditions, how heavy your foot is, terrain, wind, et cetera, we have a demo fleet here at the factory. Last June, I took one out and got up. We are in northern Indiana, so fairly flat here. Once you get up into northern Michigan, it starts to get hilly. I would say mountainous, but if you folks are out west, these are not mountains, these are big hills. And I would, on that round trip of approximately 500 to 600 miles, my family got right at about 9.5 miles per gallon. So you can expect somewhere in that range. So a great chassis, but I want to move beyond the chassis, because the chassis is really a Ford thing, and you guys all know what you're getting with that E450. But I want to talk about our ride and handling package. At Entegra Coach, our goal is to be the quietest riding, best handling coach at each price point. And the reason being is because if this doesn't handle well, if it's loud, if it's all over the road, et cetera, this will be staying at your house, and you're going to go out to Yosemite and you're going to be staying in a hotel. Shooting straight with you, we understand RVs cost a chunk of change. It doesn't matter what trim level you're buying into. Most of us, we will max out our budget or maybe get it at a comfortable place, but that's still a lot of money. And so we want you to be able to drive this anytime you want to without fear of how it handles. We don't want a white knuckle experience going down the road. So everything we build is going to have an easy drive ride and handling system on it. Now, on this Entegra Coach Esteem, we do have an easy drive elite system. So what is that? So first of all, I'll tell you there's 5 components. The first 3 are shared with the regular Odyssey, and then once we move up to the Esteem, we add 2 more components. So let me quickly walk you through what those components are. I not only want to tell you what they are, but the benefit of those, because it is a big deal for us here at Entegra Coach. Honestly, it's part of your standard base price, and so as a result, you have to know what you're getting. If you don't, you're just going to think, man, why does Entegra Coach charge so much? I can tell you with us, most things are standard. There's very few options. What does that matter? Because when it comes time to trade it in or sell it, whenever you're done with it, maybe you want to move on to the next level up, we have a 6 to 8% higher resale value, because with us, most things are standard, where they're not optioned on. When you go to sell it or trade it, your book price will be off of the base. Dealers won't care what you optioned it with. The customer who's coming to your house to look at this, they won't care what you optioned it with. Those are just kind of add-on niceties. The base price is what they go for. So with us, most things are standard. So the Easy Drive Elite system, what is it? First of all, it's a computer balanced drive shaft. This coach is 32 feet 6 inches long. When we get it from Ford, we have to cut it in the middle and extend it, and then we have to do a frame extension in the rear. So when we cut it and extend it, we go from a 2-piece drive shaft to a 3-piece drive shaft. We're the only manufacturer in the industry that balances all 3 drive shafts together at the same time. Other manufacturers will do 2, and then they'll do 1. I can guarantee you that if you drive their coaches, you're not going to get a shake or shimmy in the drivetrain. Rather, inside of the coach, their coach will be louder than ours, because we found that as we rebalance all 3 drive shafts together, we've reduced the white background noise inside of this coach. If you've seen the Odyssey video, forgive me, I'll say the exact same thing here. When we're kids, we're told we stick a seashell up to our ear, we hear the ocean. That's not true. Sound's accentuated in enclosed spaces. This box that we've built and put on this chassis is the seashell, and so we have eliminated white background noise so it's not accentuated inside of there. So first, the computer balanced drive shaft. Second of all, the rubber isolation mounts. Every manufacturer has 4 rubber isolation mounts on each corner of their cab. They're designed by Ford to reduce road noise and vibration. Now, the fun fact of the day is when Ford ships us these chassis, on each frame rail, there's 8 rubber isolation mounts. Why? Because this chassis is also used for ambulances. So you can imagine you have a traumatic experience on the highway. The last thing you want to do is be in the back of the ambulance and just hear everything rattling around. So Ford puts those rubber isolation mounts on to dampen road noise and vibration. Now, we're the only manufacturer during the upfitting process, which means welding on the risers and the cross members, that reinstalls rubber isolation mounts on both sides of the rear axle. So we've got 8 rubber isolation mounts on our coaches. Our competitors only have them in the cab. So what we have found is that we have reduced road noise and vibration by reinstalling those rubber isolation mounts. The third component, Hellwig helper springs. Hellwig helper springs are mounted to your rear leaf springs, and they're designed for 2 things. First, to distribute the weight of the coach. So it's evenly distributed across the coach. So if you're using the tongue weight of that coach, or maybe you have the back of your coach loaded with heavy objects, that you're not starting to get front end light. If you start to take some weight off of the front end of your coach, your steering axle starts to get a little sloppy. So these Hellwig helper springs help evenly distribute weight across your chassis. The second thing that they do is they help a little bit with stability, left to right rocking. Your rear leaf springs on this coach function a lot like a trampoline. I jump on a trampoline, the spring wants to pop me up. If I get a gust of wind from the driver's side, this leaf spring will absorb that weight, but the natural response is that leaf spring wants to push you up and you start a little bit of rocking. With those Hellwig helper springs, it helps eliminate some of that. So it does help eliminate your side-to-side sway to some degree. Now, those 3 components are on the Odyssey, regular Odyssey, and they're also shared on the Esteem. When we get up to the Esteem, we're adding 2 more components. The first one is Koni FSD shocks. So FSD shock stands for frequency selective dampening. Koni states that there's 2 road occurrences that happen. One is one frequency, one is another. So as I'm actually driving down the road and I start to take a clover leaf, I get a little bit of body roll. So that is the first frequency. This coach needs to have stability. So in that scenario, the FSD shock will open up a valve and let just a little hydraulic fluid through to give me stability to help eliminate some of that body roll. The second frequency is when I'm going down the road and I hit that big pothole. The shock needs to absorb that. So at that point, the valves will open up and let a lot of hydraulic fluid through to give me the cushion I need. So those Koni FSD shocks, they're both comfort and stability, absolutely incredible. And then the second component we're adding to this Elite system to give us 5 components is an oversized rear stabilizer bar. So from the factory, Ford gives us a 1-inch stabilizer bar on the rear. We remove that and we put an 1.5 inch stabilizer bar on. Why do we do that? Fair question. Because as I already mentioned, those Hellwig helper springs help with some side-to-side sway. The Koni shocks help a little bit with that side-to-side sway. Forget about both of those components for a moment. If we're only talking the rear stabilizer bar, when we go from 1 inch to an 1.5 inch stabilizer bar, we've just increased the stability of this coach by about 62%. So you couple that rear stabilizer bar, the oversized stabilizer bar, with your Hellwigs, with your Konis. Folks, this is the most stable coach on the road today. And so I want to encourage you, if you question that, take Brand X for a drive and then take an Entegra Coach Esteem for a drive. You will notice a difference. So we've talked about the chassis, we've talked about our Easy Drive Elite system. Let's just kind of do one more thing on the chassis. You'll notice this coach has black wheels on it. Late model year 25, we actually started optioning a blackout appearance package. So with that blackout appearance package, you'll get a black bumper, a black grille, you'll get black mirrors on this Esteem. Normally you're getting chrome mirrors, but we're giving you the black mirrors and the matte black wheels as well. So this is our blackout appearance package, which is an option for model year 25, late model year 25, and then also 26s, which is what we're now in. As we look at this coach, you're going to notice the Entegra hallmark one-piece fiberglass front cap. We have our bunk platform comes over, our sidewall comes down. There's a seam there that every competitor has. That's the #1 leak point on a Class C. Now, some brands will say they have a one-piece fiberglass front cap, but if they were honest with you, they'd say a one-piece fiberglass partial front cap. Their front cap will come to about right here. It'll taper up. The negative on that, yes, it does look better, but the negative on that is they've left this whole seam exposed. At Entegra Coach, we've covered that seam because we know full well that on a Class C, that's the #1 leak point. And as soon as you get water inside of this sidewall, you will have a whole host of issues. And so we have taken care of that seam by installing this front cap. The design of the cap is proprietary to Entegra Coach. The concept isn't. Anybody could do it if they chose to. The reason they don't is because this is the single most expensive component we put on any of our Class Cs. I point that out because we're doing it because it's the right thing to do. The Easy Drive Elite system, so you use it more. This front cap, so it lasts longer. Folks, that's a big deal, and that is well worth its weight in gold because it'll protect your investment. All right, let's walk back to Coach. You'll notice that this is full body paint. For 26, we do have 5 full body paint color options. This is our current like the berry versus current year. So this is our current like the berry paint design. Standard on this Entegra Coach Esteem is a partial paint. So partial paint will be part of your front cap is painted. You have graphics on the side, AKA stickers, and then a rear portion is painted as well. But this full body paint is optioned. 2+3 warranty, twice the industry standard. Everybody else in the industry is a simple 1-year warranty. We give you 2 complete camping seasons, and we stand behind your investment. Why do we do a 2-year when everybody else is a 1-year? I think simply it comes down to engineering and the components we're buying. Simply because, like I said, that one-piece fiberglass front cap, our front overhead bunk is rated at 750 pounds. Will 750 ever be up there? Probably not, but at the same time, we do a weight rating on that of 750. So the 2-year limited warranty is a big deal, plus the 3-year structural. So the 3-year structural covers the structure of this. So let's talk about the structure for a moment. All of our walls, our roofs, and our floors are all vacuum bonded. They go into 144 ton press, so 144 tons of pressure per square inch for 16 to 18 minutes, depending on what we are laminating. And so these are fully laminated sidewalls. Once they come out of the vacuum press, we will give them a little time to cure more, and then we will take the window cut out and we'll do a delamination test. Our goal is to see the components of that sidewall shred. If it shreds, we know that the glue is adhered, the glue has done its job, and it's perfect. If by chance it weren't to shred, this sidewall would get scrapped. Now I can tell you, I don't know when the last time we scrapped a sidewall was, simply because we have our own in-house lamination plant. So our lamination plant is both temperature and humidity controlled, so year-round, whether it's hot and humid in the summer, cold and dry in the winter, we're getting the exact same lamination process. So we've been doing that every bit of the 9 years I've been here at Entegra Coach. We've got a great process down for that. You'll notice the catalytic converter theft deterrent that we put on our coaches. During COVID, there was just an onslaught of dealers getting these catalytic converters stolen. I know retail customers, or I should say owners at home, were getting them stolen. So they're, again, standard on an Entegra Coach Esteem, you're getting this theft deterrent. Why? Because if you use this on Memorial Day weekend, and maybe you plan to use it on the 4th of July, and this has been stored beside your house, you go out on July 3rd, you turn that key and it sounds like a stock car, I can tell you you're not going to be driving this coach. We want you to use this as much as possible, and something as small as a theft deterrent is standard with us, simply because this coach is designed to be used. You'll notice on this coach that we do have metal slam latches. This is an upgrade from the Entegra Coach Odyssey. On the Odyssey, you're going to get these twist locks here, but on our Esteem, we are giving you the slam latches. And you'll also notice An exterior 32-inch smart television. What I love about this is Memorial Day weekend, I can be out camping. I'm in Indiana, I want to watch the Indianapolis 500. I not only have this 32-inch smart television, but I also have these premium JBL speakers. So something we found is a lot of our customers really want high-end electronics, and so we're giving you name brands that you can recognize and name brands that aren't run-of-the-mill low-end RV components. So those JBL premium audio experience is a big deal. Real quickly, I'll open these as I go down the side. You'll see the straps that are attached to our baggage doors. We do that for a couple reasons. One, it gives me a nice place to set my coffee. Secondly, if we didn't have those on there, most of you guys are just going to drop this and going to let it flop down. As it flops down, it torques the hinge, and with time that this baggage door frame will become distorted and will be a future leak point of water, and also it's just unsightly. Propane tanks behind there, I'm not going to talk about that. We've got a baggage compartment here about the same size. And real quickly, for model year 26, we have moved to a 60,000 BTU tankless hot water heater. So last year in 25, we had a 6-gallon gas electric on the Odyssey. Currently, we still have a 6-gallon gas electric, but an upgrade when you move to the Esteem is this 60,000 BTU hot water heater. So on demand, gives you a lot of hot water in an hour. You notice above me an awning with an integrated LED light. I want to talk about that real quick, and since we're looking up currently as well, let's talk about what's on the roof. On the roof is a full fiberglass roof. So our Odyssey SE, we have a PVC roof. Odyssey fiberglass, Esteem fiberglass. So full one-piece crowned roof, 5 inches in the center. On the roof, you will find standard on this coach, a 15,000 BTU with a heat pump air conditioner up front. You can option dual 13.5s if you would like. On the roof, you have 200 watts of solar standard with this coach. And so you'll have two flooded 12-volt house batteries with a dual controller. So that dual controller will send power to your house batteries. When those are topped off, it'll send it to your chassis battery. Also on the roof, you will find skylights. Great preventative maintenance, cheap preventative maintenance. I'd encourage you to do that. Get on your roof a couple times a year and check the seals. As I already mentioned on the front cap, we've done everything we can from the factory to keep water out of your coach. Now, it's your responsibility to check your seals a few times a year. So get up there, look to see if they're cracking, look to see if they're peeling, and if so, go ahead and put some more self-leveling caulk over that. It'll fill in all the gaps and protect your coach for a couple more years at that point. Continuing down, we've got the frameless windows. The frameless windows are great because no exposed seals. UV rays definitely breaks down seals, so these are the seals are hidden by that tinted glass. And then also a great feature on these is when my windows are cranked open, if it's sprinkling out, it's sprinkling, kind of at an angle, I don't have to worry about closing these, just simply because the way these are designed, the water will hit that and come down. Now, if you get a side blowing wind, definitely close your windows, use common sense here, but these are a little bit more usable during certain inclement weather experiences. So use your wisdom on that. Coming down the coach, we do have another storage compartment here, a little bit larger, and then real quickly down below that we have our LP Quick Connect for a gas grill. With that, you can use your portable gas Blackstone or even your grill so that you're frying your bacon or your fish outside. And then finally we have one large storage area here. As I mentioned, this is the 29V. Storage varies on every floor plan, but this is your large storage with rotocast. Nice thing about rotocast compartments, if you don't know what rotocast, it's this material here, is it's very cleanable and also very durable. So this has been a look at the side of the coach. Let's check out the back end of the coach. Alrighty, so we're at the back side of the coach now, and I want to point out first and foremost, we do have a ladder on the rear of this coach. I point that out because I did reference getting up a few times a year and checking your seals. You have the ladder as standard on there. Kind of common sense, it does have it, so I'm pointing that out. Also, you'll notice we have our standard brake lights down below, and with Entegra Coach, we give you a third brake light overhead. That way, so if you are towing and these lower brake lights are covered, the individual driving behind you will be able to see that overhead brake light illuminate, giving them plenty of stopping distance. So a third brake light with Entegra Coach is standard. Also overhead, you'll notice that we have a rear backup camera. Also, not only a rear backup camera, but on my Sony infotainment system, I can push a button and have it always on to illuminate my tow vehicle if I'd like to always have that on, as well as this coach does have side cameras, so when I use my turn signal, it'll illuminate what's in the lane that I'm looking to change into. Finally, here on the back end of the coach, you'll notice behind this tubular bumper, the tubular bumper is great because I can put my Stinky Slinky in it, but you will notice that we have a 7,500 pound hitch with a vertical tongue weight rating of 750 pounds. Now let me break that down to you in everyday language. Ford rates this chassis at a 7,500 pound tow capacity. Now one competitor will put an 8,000 pound hitch on, another competitor will put a 7,500 pound hitch on, but the key thing to note is that both of those competitors, you can only have a vertical tongue weight of 500 pounds. We're 750, so what does that matter? If I'm pulling a horse trailer and the gross vehicle weight rating of that horse trailer is 7,000 pounds, meaning the horse is in it and the trailer resting on the tires is 7,000 pounds, every trailer is designed to have a 10% ratio between the gross vehicle weight rating and the tongue weight of it. So that 7,000 pound trailer will have a 700 pound vertical tongue weight on it. So all of that to say, Entegra Coach is the only manufacturer that you can safely tow a trailer of anything above 5,000 pound GVW with that 10% tongue weight rating. Now, if you're flat towing, not a big deal, there's no tongue weight on that. But if you're towing anything other than flat towing, that's where it comes into play. And it's not as simple as doing something on your own. The reason I say that is because yes, you can add Hellwig helper springs, that'll help with it. However, when we extend this chassis, we are adding more steel in the center of the chassis than what our competitors are doing. So we're not only sleeving it, but we're welding diamond gussets inside of it. Also on this coach, as we extend the frame rail on this coach, as every manufacturer does, we keep the Ford OE C-channel specs coming back all the way to the rear of the coach. One of our competitors just uses a flat plate steel that is attached to that, and so it's a lot weaker back in this area. And then finally, what we're doing is we are horizontally bolting this hitch. So as we horizontally bolt this hitch, we're relying on the tensile strength of the bolt itself. Other manufacturers are vertically bolting and they're relying on the thread strength of that bolt. So all the things we're doing in combination there allows us to keep that 10% weight ratio between what you're towing and the tongue weight rating. So this has been a look at the rear of the coach. Let's quickly look at the driver's side. Alrighty, so we're on the side of this 29V Entegra Coach Esteem. As I already mentioned, beautiful full body paint. It's on this side as well, not just your campside, absolutely stunning. Our paint shop's doing an incredible job. We use a brand of paint called Sickens. Great thing about Sickens, it's a high-end paint. As it cures, it still remains flexible. Kind of a weird concept. As fiberglass gets hot and expands, it gets cold, it contracts. So as we use Sickens, what we have found is that over the years, you will not get the spider cracking that our competitors will get in their paint. So high-end paint, absolutely stunning. So storage on this side, you'll see a rotocast compartment similar to what you saw on the other side. We're just gonna go through, show you storage on this side. Your fuel fill there, that's gasoline. Obviously it's an E-Series chassis, so it's not diesel. Exterior shower, city water connection, and then your black tank flush. Black tank flush is great because it gets all the debris from your black tank out into that Stinky Slinky and not being stored in your black tank. And you'll see that we have another storage compartment here with the cable on it holding it up. Behind this door is going to be where I store my 30 amp cord. Another storage compartment here. Rotocast continued all throughout here. And then finally our generator compartment. For 2026, just to give you a heads up, we are utilizing the Onan fuel injected generator. It's 4,000 watts. Why do I point out that it's fuel injected? Because we can ship this to every province in all 50 states. Last year in 2025, we're having to jockey between what we send to California, what we don't. We used a few different generators. Now that Onan's come out with this EFI generator, makes it simple. We can ship it absolutely anywhere. So this has been a look at the off-camp side. Let's go inside and check out this 29V Esteem. Alrighty, so we are inside this beautiful 2026 29V Entegra Coach Esteem. Some of the things I want to point out are what we've had here for a while, but then also some things that are relatively new to us. You'll notice behind me in the cab, as I mentioned, this is a Ford E-Series chassis. Everything in the cab is from Ford except for the seats, and then also that 10.1-inch Sony infotainment system. What I love about this Sony is that I can adjust it left to right on a swivel and even up and down. Now, I can plug in to utilize my Apple CarPlay or Android Auto as well, or I can do wirelessly. So great thing about that is you don't have to have a cable connected in order to view your maps or Waze or anything on that screen. The passenger can be utilizing their phone for whatever they want, while over on the screen tilted towards the driver will be able to see the screen. So as I mentioned on the outside, you know, one of the things we got feedback-wise from our owners was they want high-end name brand things, so we are sticking with the Sony 10.1-inch. Does have an anti-glare coating on it as well, so on those sunny days, you'll still be able to see on that large screen. Now overhead, we do have this large panoramic window behind me. That is on a power shade. What I love about that is during the daytime in the fall, spring, even summer, depending where you're at, you can have that screen window shade up, and it just lets a lot of light inside. But say you're camping down in Arizona in the summertime, you can close that to keep the heat on the outside of this coach. So front overhead bunk rated at 750 pounds, as I already mentioned on the outside. There are a lot of storage areas on both sides. You'll see cup holders on both sides, and then also this overhead mesh net. Now we do have 120 volt outlet and dual USB on the one end of this. Now behind me, this is a 32-inch smart television with a JBL Aura soundbar down below. So that functions just like the Cube does. Some of our floor plans, we have a Cube. Some of them we have a soundbar. It is connected to the TVs. There's different zones, inside, and outside. And also I can wirelessly stream to that from my favorite streaming app. So it is a great feature. Now that smart TV, I think, is very valuable to use the end user, because on the roof of this unit, we do have a WineGuard 2.0 Connect, which is a 4G LTE hotspot, or it is a Wi-Fi range extender. Now the Wi-Fi range extender is a free feature. If you are parked in the campgrounds a ways away from the router, that WineGuard 2.0 does have some antennas in it. It picks up the weaker signal and amplifies it inside of the coach. Or going down the road, I can utilize the 4G LTE hotspot if I want to be able to watch television while going down the road, or even utilize my computer. Now, granted, you can always use the hotspot on your phone, but sometimes you don't want to mess with that, and so that WineGuard 2.0 Connect is very nice to have while you're utilizing this coach. Now you will see for this calendar year, for this model year I should say, we have changed the door profiles of our cabinet doors and drawers. The key thing to note is that they are still oversized. So we have reduced the visible styles, a lot of room up here for you to be able to store your blankets, and even right now we have the sunshade for the chassis cab up there. And then you'll also notice that we've changed the color of our wallboard, brightening up the interior. Now this is not a true white. It still has some light gray cross hatching in it, so you don't have to worry about it showing dirt very easily, because we know you are camping. But at the same time, we have brightened up the interior of this coach. Now this coach, as I already mentioned on the outside, a 4,000 watt generator. This coach does have an inverter with it, and if you do option theater seats, those theater seats are power. Whereas if you step down to the Odyssey will be manual. So these are power theater seats. These are made by a domestic company in LaGrange, Indiana, about 20 minutes down the road, and we have a great partnership with them, and we love that they're not an import, but they are domestically made. Coming over to the kitchen side, you will notice that this is a solid surface countertop. So that is one of the higher end components that we're putting in an Esteem and not in an Odyssey. The Odyssey will get that wrapped countertop, but when you come to an Esteem, you will also get the solid surface countertop. Talk about a couple more differences. As I already mentioned, solar standard on this. Odyssey, it's an option. Leveling jacks are standard on this coach. Odyssey, it is an option. And then the Odyssey, all of your light switches, all of your switches in general, they are manual, so there'll be toggle switches, where in this unit, once we step up to the Esteem, we will have a BM Pro multiplex system, which I love multiplex systems because I can be sitting out at the campfire and I can control my coach from the campfire. So, I used it in another video, so if you've been binge watching all of Entegra Coach videos, the common one I use, because it's happened to me, it's dark inside the coach, I'm out at the campfire, Junior needs to use the bathroom. I can turn on specific lights going to the bathroom so Junior can go to the bathroom, and when Junior comes out, I can just shut off all the lights myself. So it's a great system. I can control the 30,000 BTU furnace from this. I can control the air conditioners from this. Also, you're getting auto gen start. So a lot to be loved about this BM Pro multiplex system. You will notice that for this model year as well, as I mentioned, we changed our door and drawer profiles. Prior model years, we did have just a slab of wood. We have adjusted sizes so that we are able to have actual drawer fronts that look good inside of this coach. So we're back in the kitchen area, and what I love about this unit is for model year 26, we have switched to an Envision cooktop. So what that means is I still have my 3-burner cooktop with a glass cover, but what I really like about this range is that my space that I have in my oven is actually larger than what it was last year. Envision gives us the opportunity with multiple heights on this wire rack, so I can actually fit more in there than just the standard pizza that I could fit last year. You'll notice a residential size microwave. It is stainless steel, residential, and so in this I can easily heat up a casserole from the night before. We're not giving you a small microwave, a 0.9 cubic foot, but plenty of room inside of this to be able to warm up whatever you made last night. Right beside me is this, as I mentioned, for this model year, we are changing to a 60,000 BTU tankless hot water heater. And so here's my controls for that, where I can set my upper and lower thresholds on that. This coach currently does have a 15 cubic foot 12 volt refrigerator in it. Now I want to tell you that early model year 2026, you will be able to option a 15 cubic foot. Standard is a 10 cubic foot. If you get the standard 10 cubic foot, it is a smaller opening, and then also a pantry over here. The reason I say early model year 2026 is because in the current era we live in, obviously there's tariffs, there's things on the political realm that are being referenced. We will be unable to get 15 cubic foots after early model year. So at that point, your only option will be that 10 cubic foot that comes standard. What I love about the 10 cubic foot is it is large enough for those camping trips, week-long camping trips, but then also I'm picking up my pantry. So the key thing to note is I get a pantry with that 10 cubic foot. So in reality, you're getting a lot with that 10 cubic foot. Moving over to the dinette, something I do want to point out is, once again, we are using a legless dinette in this unit. So I can slide over to the window and not bang my knees as I go through. And then also within this dinette, we do have child safety tethers in our forward-facing dinette. Also with Entegra Coach, there is a seat belt in every seating position. And so this coach, you can safely seat belt 2 up front, driver passenger, 2 in the theater seats. You've got 2 in the rear facing, and then you've got 2 in the forward facing. So we can seat belt 8 individuals in this coach. And so with these child safety tethers, they are welded down into our seatbelt base bracket. So that's the key thing to note. It is welded into that base bracket. That base bracket, in order for us to install these per the government, they have to withstand 10,000 pounds of pull or force for 60 seconds. And so these are all safe seating positions. So I wanted to point that out. Not only do we have new wallboard for this model year, and then also new cabinet door and drawer fronts, we also have new flooring in this coach. Absolutely beautiful. It does pull out the browns and grays out of the different components that we are installing inside of this. So I think our design team has done a wonderful job with that. As I mentioned, this is the 29V Esteem. So as we come back, we're going to find the hallway shower. The key thing about the hallway shower, I'll be working shows during show season, which for us is January through the end of March, sometimes April. Folks look at this and they say, I'm totally out on this design. Like, why do I want somebody at the dinette watching me shower? Like 99% of us would say, I'm out on that. But what they neglect to see is actually that overhead we have a magnetic stop. And let me open this for a second. It actually becomes a private area. So I have a door back here that I can slide closed. What I love about this shower layout is rather than just a bathroom on one side, this whole center section becomes a bathroom to where I can easily bend over, dry my legs off. I don't feel like I'm bumping into everything. And I get just really an ensuite that is very large and easy for me to change in. You'll notice from front to rear on this coach, we do have a single level floor. A lot of manufacturers in front of the bathroom area will have a step up. The middle of the night, let me tell you, that is a trip hazard. Early on, I've been here for about 9 years. Probably 8 years ago, we had a floor plan that necessitated a step up. And whenever I'd go in that unit at a show, I'd stand behind the customer because inevitably they'd take a step back and they wouldn't realize there was a step there that they just stepped up on, and I would catch that. So at Entegra Coach, safety is a big deal. So we have a flush floor throughout. You'll notice in this shower that new for this year, we do have a shower miser. We're starting to install that on some of our coaches that have a little bit higher price point. What I love about the shower miser is that I don't have to waste my fresh water, nor do I have to fill up my gray water tank prematurely. So in this, there's two knobs. One is my traditional shower knob that if I were to open up, water would come out. The other one is the shower miser knob. I can open up that knob and it becomes a closed loop. So it's running between here and my hot water heater. There's a blue disc, and as soon as that blue disc turns opaque white, I know that my water is up to temperature and I can shower in it comfortably. So at that, I close off my shower miser and then I treat this as a traditional shower because my water's hot. I've purged all of my PEX lines from that cold water. You'll also notice that we did a shower stack within this versus just your traditional shower head. So we have upgraded this. Looks absolutely beautiful for this model year. You'll also notice overhead in the shower we do have a clothes drying rod. It could be for towels, could be for swimsuits, but we do have that is removable. And then as always, we have a skylight in the shower so that if you're a taller individual, you're not feeling like you're gonna brush your head on the ceiling of this unit. But come back into the bedroom if you would. Couple things I want to point out. This unit does have a queen size bed, full bank of overhead cabinets. There is a 120 volt outlet in the overhead cabinet. You get reading lights, and then you get your sidewall slide out windows as well. Wireless charging in both of your nightstands, a rear egress window, and then look at this massive bank of drawers. I mean, we've got a wardrobe on both sides with overhead storage. Behind the 24-inch smart TV, we have storage back there. And then we get into this full bank of drawers. You'll notice that our drawers, we do install magnets on them. We don't just rely on the roller catches from the metal drawer glides, but we do have magnets installed to hold these closed. So, I'll be working at shows and customers will come in and think it's jammed. Not really. We want to make sure that as you're rounding a corner, your drawers are not sliding out. So we've made sure that they will not slide out. So plenty of storage center down below. Two different wardrobes here. Your smart television. This coach has been optioned with that dual AC that I mentioned on the outside. So you have 13.5 up front and 13.5 in the rear. And then also mid-model year 25, we did change to these 4 Kelvin lights. And so it is brighter, it is whiter in here, and so definitely more illumination. But again, my name is Cory Weatherton, Director of Product Development here at Entegra Coach. I want to thank you for taking time to watch this video today. Hopefully it's been informative, that you're able to know if this is the unit or the series, if you will, the Esteem series that you want to go to your local dealer and check out. If you have any questions, contact your local dealer. If you don't know who your local dealer is, at integracoach.com, we have a dealer locator. Enter your state or province and it'll tell you who's closest to you that sells this product. If by chance you stump the dealer with a question and the salesman does not say, hey, let me get a hold of my rep, you're always welcome to call us here at Entegra Coach. As you call, a nice lady will answer. Let her know what state or province you're from and what product you're interested in. In this case, it's the Entegra Coach Esteem. And she will connect you to a regional sales manager. A regional sales manager is responsible for working directly with your dealer from the factory to answer any questions that the dealer or you may have. And our regional sales managers have direct access to our engineers, to production as well. So I guarantee you, If by chance you stump one of our regional sales managers, that they will contact engineering or production and then get right back with you for the answer. So again, Cory Weatherton, thanks for watching this video. Get down to your local dealership and check out this Entegra Coach Esteem.